Hi, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Yogi's Garage. We're back with Project Pepper. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We're working on a 2002 Porsche 911 Carrera Cabriolet. I've taken the engine out and I've begun the assembly process after having the engine re-sleeved by LN Engineering to a 4-liter with Nickies or Nickisil cylinder liners. As you saw in my previous episode, we just finished installing the pistons on bank 2, and as you saw, it was not fun. But it's great practice, and I suspect I'll be doing that in the near future again. Today we have a short episode for you today. We're going to be working on installing all of the components back onto the front console of the engine. So that means we're going to be installing the cooling components, the water pump, for example, some flanges, as well as the oil pump. We're going to get all that knocked out in about 15-20 minutes, and then you can get back to your day. Oh, one more thing. So in case you're wondering how I'm able to do this, first of all, let me give you a little bit of background about myself. I am not a mechanical engineer. I work in the IT industry. I'm a consultant. Been doing it for almost 30 years. I understand internal combustion engines. I understand engineering, but I am not professionally trained. So I'm doing this out of my own pocket. I'm not being sponsored, but I'm not doing it by myself. Luckily, I've had a few professionals reach out to me to keep me on the straight and narrow, and one of those people is a gentleman named Jake Raby. Has been around in the Porsche industry for a very, very long time, and he developed a book series called Focus on M9X Engine Assembly. Now, I'm following this verbatim, but I'm not going to show you everything that's in this book because it would be doing him a disservice. However, I think it's important that you see that with a little bit of training and a little bit of guidance, you yourself in your garage can do something like this if you take it seriously. So with that said, let's get back to building the console and we can get out of here. What do you say? Oh, one more thing. Happy Veterans Day. I am a veteran as well. I served in the United States Air Force. Jake Raby is also a veteran. He served in the United States Marine Corps. So if you have a veteran in your family or your friends, be sure to give them a thank you on behalf of yourself, myself, everybody in the world. Thank them. Let's get started. All right, oil sump installation. This is what it looks like, nice and clean without any of the components in here. You can see there's an oil pickup, the oil returns, as well as the oil level sensor. And here's a close-up look at the parts as well as the tools. Starting with the oil sump, here's the bottom end with the baffles installed. I have my drain plug in there as well. I'll be taking that out and using a magnet one. Brand new hardware. I'm using a mix of brand new hardware as well as some used ones. Any of the ones that I couldn't find parts for or weren't included in the pack. Oil sensor. This is the other end. This is the used bolt. This is the connector where the oil level sender goes in. This is a new coolant drain plug, brand new crush washer as well. I'll be showing you how to install that. Cleaned up my oil pickup using my ultrasonic cleaner. You can also see I have a new O-ring as well and new hardware. These are the new oil returns from the 997 series engines. I'm replacing them from these old Venturi style. If it's an upgrade, I put it in. These are some of the tools, standard small torque, 1/4 inch, 10 millimeter, some witness pins, and sealant. Let's do it. Just like anything in life, everything goes in better with a little bit of lube. And then the lube I'm using is just simple motor oil for this procedure. Woof, I think I'm losing my hair. You know, I get asked all the time whether or not I get sick of hearing myself or looking at myself in these videos, and yes, I do, but I have to remind myself that oftentimes the folks that are watching it is the first time they've seen me, so I don't feel as bad. For them, anyway. From what I understand, these 997 oil returns reduce cavitation, thus reducing the amount of bubbles being returned to the sump. The Venturi style was supposed to do that, but apparently they've improved them and simplified them too. Oh, what do you guys think of all my new graphics and music? Be sure to leave a comment below and let me know what you think. I'm always looking for feedback, guys. No torque sequence was given on this, but I like to treat anything that's made of aluminum the same way you would treat a cylinder head, and that's to work your way from the inside out. So that's what I'm gonna do in a crisscross. All right, this next phase may look daunting, but in actuality, it really isn't. This is all of the components that are gonna go back on the engine block, on the console, as well as one of the half shells. Starting with the oil pump, you can see it's multiple pieces there. Water pump is single, and the thermostat is a single piece, as well as gaskets all the way around. All right, the coolant drain plug is an interesting one because it's 2 torque sequences on this one. The first torque sequence is 10 Newton meters, 5mm drain plug hex. All right. And then another 5 would put it at 15 Newton meters. All right, no coolant coming out of that. And we did the 5, so that's done too. Man, I got paint on my shirt. Look at this. Isn't that nice? This water pump has a couple of dowels, and those dowels hold the longer bolts. That 10 Newton meters. And there's always one bolt that gets stripped out on an aluminum case. And guess what? Oh, man. It's this one. See? It goes tight, and then it doesn't torque. So for those of you who don't know what a helicoil kit is, let me enlighten you real quick. So I have this bulk helicoil, and essentially what you're doing is you're drilling out the bad threads and you're replacing them with one of these. This is a helicoil. They go by a whole bunch of different names. The official name is helicoil. Use a tool like this to jam that in there and seat it. But the problem is that you got to drill the hole out bigger than what this is so that this fits back to an M6. This is an M6. And as you can see, it's a new set of threads. All right? So what we need to do here is we need to make sure we don't go any deeper than we need to. So I'm going to take one of the short bolts and then figure out max depth, which should be right about there. That looks good. All right. Put a little lube or more. All right. Try to get it nice and straight. And it'll happen real fast. Yeah, so what you're looking at there is a blank, nothing in there. Now we need to tap it. I had to give that thing some serious ugga-dugga to get it in, but I got it. And now we just gotta run the threads in right when you feel it bottom out. This is not a drill bit, so you'll feel it. And that's good right there. All right. And then we'll just back it out the same way we did it. And you want to clean that thing out. Take it out the rest of the way and try to carry all that with me. Again, this is why you put a little oil on that. I mean, that's not the only reason. Obviously you need cutting fluid, but now I've got threads in there. But I'm using those threads to thread in the helicoil. All right, let me go clean this. So again, you have a helicoil here, and I think you can see that in here, but there's a little silver tab that faces inward, because that's what this tool does, is you use the tab to guide it in, because you don't want to break this thing off in there, but you will do something here in a second that will contradict what I just said. Right there, okay? And then what you want to do is you want to give it a little forceful tap to break that tab off. Let me see. We have our threads back. Let's test it out. Oh yeah, look at that. So much better. Look, no slop. Well, I mean, there's a little slop, but way less sloppy than what it was. All right, let's see how all this works together. Good. Hey, back in business. Total time, I don't know, 30 minutes. That's because I knew what I was doing. If this is your first time doing this, it may take you about an hour to get the confidence, to get, you know, how much torque are you gonna need? How much ooga-dooga do you have to put on the tap to get it to go in? All right. Hi, welcome to another reading of Dad Jokes with Yogi. Shall we begin? Which cat is the least loyal? A cheetah. I had a fun childhood. My dad used to push me down the hill in old tires. Those were the good years. What's a computer's favorite snack? Microchips. Huh. What did the two slices of bread say on their wedding day? It was loaf at first sight. This has been another reading of Dad Jokes with Yogi. All right, let's go ahead and secure the front console completely now and torque it down. I know what you're thinking. Why is my front console so dark? It's called purple power. Don't ever do that. All right, don't forget this. This is what drives the oil pump. If you forget that, you'll regret it. We're gonna read. Guys are saying that has got to be the ugliest front console I have ever seen, and you're probably right. All right, we need to make sure this engine still turns over. We're just going to move it a little bit to make sure it is the same.
these bolts make me feel like I'm building some kind of Home Depot special, you know? Like these are the kinds of bolts that you can get off of the hardware shelf. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. They just don't have that dull finish.
All right, so this is your thermostat. Everything's all connected. We're just gonna get it lined up. You wanna make sure your gasket's all lined up. And then run in your really shiny bolts. Like my bolts? Yeah. Yogi Mama?
Of course I do.
I had them polished just for you.
Just for me?
Mm-hmm. I wanted them to sparkle. You know, we gotta have some of your presence here. When you see this, you'll know those were for me.
Any diamonds in this engine?
Maybe. That's an interesting orientation. This is the direction to go, I think.
There's no other way it can
I mean,
go.
the hose goes down here and then this goes up here. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's only been, what, a year since I've taken this engine apart?
Is that all?
Feels like a decade. I need a witness for my witness. Boop, 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 boop. Wow, and this whole front console, let me share a lessons learned with you. Despite, we'll go over here while I do that. Despite my effort to bag and tag my bolts, I still had some difficulty finding the bolts for the front console and getting it organized. So much so, it probably took me 2 solid hours of checking the workshop manual, checking with Jake, and getting everything where it should be. And so a little word to the wise, when you're taking your engine apart, be very, very thorough. I thought I was thorough. This is not my first rodeo. And yet what ended up happening was some of these bags started to fade. I mean, look at that. How am I supposed to know what that says? And can you get that? Yeah. And so the bolts were not exactly where they should be. But that took a lot of time. But doing the front console is a lot of work, and I think this is a good place to stop. If this is your first time joining Yogi's Garage, thank you. I hope you learned something. I'm learning a whole lot of stuff. I'm learning that building engines is actually hard. So with that said, my loyal subscribers, thank you. We'll see you next week for another episode of Project Pepper. Thanks for watching.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make it a microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time. That is not a guy that I would ever want to try to battle rap. Snap, crackle, pop,